Welcome to Money on Tap, your personal finance headquarters. We bring out the professionals' experience and some fun in what we call three-dimensional investing, utilizing insurance, brokerage, and fee-based planning. We believe wise investing starts with a plan. Now, your investments may have merit and relevance to a time and place, but it all depends on you, your objectives, and your goals. My name is Seth Krussman, and I'm here with Ben Brayshaw and Sean Ryder. We're all planners and partners with Brayshaw Financial Group. Good morning, guys.
Top of the morning to you, Seth.
Wow. Hey, Seth, how are you doing?
That's my introduction.
Johnny. Johnny's here.
Yeah,
Top of
back.
the morning.
Johnny.
He's back. I think there's a reason for that. We'll find out later, I'm sure.
Oh, yes.
We're glad to have you listening to Money on Tap. And if you're looking to sit down with an advisor and start making some of the right steps towards your financial goals, we welcome the opportunity to do that with you. And you can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. You can also find us at Facebook /3D Investing. I could go on from there because there's podcasting venues, there's Twitter, you know what? I think we aren't on Instagram. Oh my gosh, we've got something to do this week besides, what we normally do.
I didn't even know I had an Instagram account, but thank you for telling me, Seth.
Goodness gracious, I didn't know we had one either.
Boy, Seth,
we'll get
just
there.
Making stuff
we'll
up.
get there. Just behind the times a little bit, guys. That's
Yes,
all I feel like right at the moment. Last week, speaking of behind the times, if you didn't get a chance to listen to our show entitled Buyer Beware, Look Before You Leap, you might want to go back and take a listen to the show. And you can do that again at the Facebook account, or you can go take a look at us on podcast venues. But in that broadcast, we talked about some things to watch out for when it comes to investing. For instance, if you have a short-term investment need, don't go out and get wrapped up in a long-term investment. That makes sense. If you can't stomach through losing money in an investment, be prepared that loss aversion really limits the types of investments you may be able to invest in. And some of the things you want to understand is your objectives for the investment, liquidity, your time frame. And we even talked about the company that's issuing the investment. You want to make sure that the issuer has a solid history and that the investment, has a solid track record.
There's a lot of truth to all the things you're saying, Seth, and I know that there's a lot of truth to them because I told you what to say right there, Seth, right? So I told you what to say. No, but
you fed it to me line by line.
But you know what? Loss aversion is an interesting thing. I was talking to a client the other day, and she'd seen her money actually go up quite considerably. It's done very well over the last several years. And as we were talking with her about it, she said, but I don't want to lose any money. Well, I said, well, if you don't want to lose any money, if you want a guarantee of not losing any money, then you need to get out of this investment and put your money into a CD at the bank where you have at least some guarantees there where you can't go down in value. But I talked to her about something else too. I talked to her about inflation risk and how if you're getting 1% at the bank, that while everyone else is seeing their money go up, when the market,
you know what I wish they did? I wish there was some way, like some kind of a like a lever or a dial on the investment. You know how they show you your returns, monthly, annually on your investment. I wish there was a dial over there that had inflation and paced inflation, so you could see like the negative returns that you have coming back.
That's a great idea, Seth. Maybe you can work on that. You can work on that for next week for our,
because that's really having everything out there and being transparent, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is we've seen the market go up considerably over the last few years, and people have gotten a little bit
getting used to it, man.
A little arrogant about returns, like, hey, this is what my 401k's done. And then now it's like a little bit of a flashback, like, maybe I'm not in control. Can you help me here, please? Maybe I need to reallocate. I mean, people who are like, no, my 401k's doing good.
It's all good.
Yeah, it's doing good. And then they don't understand.
Yeah. So today, the name of our show, I think, is very aptly titled, The Markets Are Out of Control. Are you? 10 tips in this market. So we are going to talk about really staying sane in a market right now that's pretty insane. We're seeing the market just go up and down like a yo-yo. If we were having this conversation last year, it would have been steady Eddie. Around this time last year in 2017, it was just boring, wasn't it? And the markets weren't going up. They weren't going down. Maybe just a little bit up, but we didn't see much.
I remember a couple of times, like, we would talk about markets and we'd be like, well, nah, it went up again.
It's again.
Yeah, but, that was in contrast to the year before that and the year before that. So I think maybe this year isn't so unusual. I mean, it feels unusual, but maybe it's not so unusual. Maybe last year was the year that was pretty unusual, and that was where we just didn't have a whole lot of craziness. I think there's a lot of positive stuff because of Trump being elected. There was a lot of positive energy out there when it came to the markets because of tax regulations being cut, because of Trump saying, hey, we're going to get rid of 2 regulations for every new regulation we create. So I think that drove a lot of energy. But I think what we've seen here this year is, well, Trump's saying some different things now too. So we'll talk about that too. But before we get into all of that and about our 10 tips in this market, we want to talk to you about money in the news. So money in the news is really that time of the program, usually up towards the first few minutes, where we talk about some crazy things going on when it comes to money. And was just on the internet the other day, flipping through a story or two, and I see this one here. Russia's richest lose $16 billion in sell-off over U.S. sanctions. So once again, this has to do with Trump, because Trump has been very strong when it comes to sanctions on other countries. He's talking about tariffs for China.
Did they track any phone calls between Russia and the White House on this?
I did hear something the other day, Ben, since you asked. I did hear that a Ukrainian billionaire, maybe one of these that we're going to be talking about here, a Ukrainian billionaire donated $150,000 to the Trump campaign. So they're investigating that right now. That could be fake news, folks, but I don't know. But we're going to see what happens. But anyway, these tycoons over here in Russia, there's a ton of billionaires over there. I don't know what they're making their money on. Is it scotch? Is it vodka? I don't know what it is, but they make a lot of money over there. And there's some people that are very upset, probably very upset with Trump. All but one of the 27 Russian tycoons listed on the Bloomberg Billionaires Index lost money. And here's a guy, a nickel miner. Who knew? His name is Vladimir Putin. Is he your uncle, Seth? You have a little bit of Russian in you, don't you, Seth? Vladimir?
No, I actually did that 23andMe, and I was surprised to find out I'm like half Irish.
Oh, well.
I knew that there was.
Then this guy cannot be your long lost grandfather. I'm sorry for you, because this guy on his bad day the other day, his fortune, and I do feel bad for this guy. I do feel bad because
that guy feels bad for us right now.
His fortune declined by $2.25 billion, and I feel bad for him because I know it might be hard to make some of the payments he has to make. Think about probably his car payment and his mortgage payment, and maybe if he's sending his son off to boarding school. I don't know. It must be a hard time for them. But so these guys are feeling the full effect of the Trump sanctions. That's what it is.
This one guy, Vekselberg, is one of the 7 Russian tycoons sanctioned last week by Trump administration in retaliation for Moscow meddling in the 2016 presidential election. So that's kind of interesting. I was wondering if that was like meddling for Trump, and if that was the case, he's probably kicking himself because what did he lose? Like $1.28 billion? Was that what that was?
Someone's probably out there saying, well, Trump just said, listen, either shut up or I'll make you lose another $2.25 billion.
Oh, my God.
Who knows the conversations that go on behind closed doors and interpreters and all that kind of stuff? For sure. So next time you get a little concerned about looking at your statement and seeing you're down a few bucks, down a couple percent, remember, the Russian billionaires, they lost more than you did.
I'm sure everyone's worried.
Right.
Everyone's worried.
Right.
I feel bad for these guys. These poor guys.
Gosh.
These guys, it must be tough making a living over there. It's tough. All right.
The Woz shuts down his Facebook account.
Who's the Woz? Who's the Woz?
The Woz. Yeah, the Woz.
Stevie Woz.
Oh, yeah.
Steve Wozniak.
Mr. Apple.
Founder of Apple. One of the co-founders of Apple, of course, Steve Jobs, the other side of that, in reaction to the data privacy scandal going on over at Facebook, shut it down. And he said, now he didn't terminate it, right? He didn't close it all the way out, but he shut it down. Here's what Woz says, is that he'd rather pay for Facebook than have his personal information used by advertisers. I find this really... I actually was reading this and I just started laughing. I was like, this is hilarious. Like, he thinks that Apple makes its money off good products, not off you.
That's what he says.
If we didn't buy the good products,
Well, he says with Facebook, you are the product. So you're the product because of all the information and everything you give, and then that can basically be mined by folks like Cambridge Analytica and all that kind of stuff.
You're telling me that Apple's not mining our phones? Come on, Stevie. Be honest. You're not collecting
data. Step up to the microphone, Steve. Let's be honest, Mr. Woz.
Like Google hasn't been doing this. I think
Facebook's
he's
the first
talking
one.
about a really fine line where he's trying to opt out. But here's the other thing too, is that he doesn't. So he didn't totally delete his account. He just shut it down because he didn't want someone else grabbing it. Even if there was another Steve Wozniak, he didn't want somebody to grab the Steve Woz handle.
That's funny.
So he's not a product, I guess. Anyways, it's just,
he's committed.
So anyways, hey, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this for a minute. So Mr. Zuckerberg is finding himself today in Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill answering questions for Facebook and for all the data mining that's going on. So that should be interesting. Should be interesting if you're
I don't understand why people didn't understand that the data mining was happening. I mean,
it happens on the Democrat side. It happens on the Republican side. It happens from a business perspective.
Everybody's Facebook account. I don't even have a Facebook account, but my wife does. And I look at this thing and I say to myself, they know exactly what you're going to be interested in. They have all that information's popping up. If you don't realize that that's what's going on,
hey, here's where I feel. This is a strange thing for me, guys. So the other day, I'm looking for a heart monitor.
Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm a moment of genius in watching the Facebook.
Hey, I'm talking.
Sorry.
Hey, so I'm looking for this heart monitor. Do a Google search and find out. Pick one out on Amazon. And by the time I'm done, I go search my email. On the far side to the right on Yahoo, guess what I see? A bunch of heart monitors that I can maybe click on to see if perhaps I'd be interested in one of those. Boy, is that crazy? It happened within about 3 minutes. Just nuts. So there's a lot of data mining going out there, and I'll be honest with you, I don't like that. That's just weird.
I do. I love it that they just pay attention to me all the time.
Seth, you need to open up some more Facebook accounts. Open up some more Facebook
adoration.
Accounts. You're really going to love it.
Through.
So I think we're going to
Woz, let your account go. Why don't you, and you can pay me for when I take your name.
All right. Hey, guys, we're going to transition the show here to talk about why we're here. But before we do that, I'm going to ask Seth to take us out for a break.
Well, that's my cue. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com.
Hi, my name is Ben Brayshaw, one of the co-hosts of Money on Tap. If you have questions when it comes to your retirement and are looking for a personalized solution, contact us at Brayshaw Financial Group. In today's volatile stock market, we can help you plan to find your successful retirement solution. Am I saving enough? Am I saving into the right places? Do my investments match my appetite for risk? Do I have a tax strategy that is going to help me keep more of what I earn? How can I maximize my Social Security income? If you are like most people, you are getting closer and closer to your retirement and may be wondering if you're taking the right steps. If you're in retirement, you may be wondering, am I maximizing my income while preserving my estate and caring for my family? We talk about all things financial in what we call three-dimensional investing, putting a plan around your financial future. If you feel that now is the time to start getting the answers to some of these questions for your own situation, give us a call at Brayshaw Financial Group at 855-226-8551. Headquartered in Bedford, New Hampshire, we have offices throughout New England and across the country. We would love the opportunity to show you how we can help. There's absolutely no cost or obligation just to meet with us, and we welcome you to our office. Call us at 855-226-8551.
More Money on Tap in just a moment. On this Cliff Notes edition of Money on Tap, John Ryder gives us a great story of the entrepreneurial spirit, an inspirational slice of life, and what can be accomplished in this great country of ours.
Hey, do you guys ever watch Shark Tank? You guys ever watch that?
I do.
Okay, so they got some funny characters on there. You got Kevin O'Leary, who's the Mr. Wonderful, and you got Barbara Corcoran, she's a real estate lady, Damon John. So anyway, they had this guy on Shark Tank. It was a couple of years ago. This guy was a founder of a company called The Ring. If you're away from home, when someone rings your doorbell, it has a video inside of a video camera inside of there, actually taking a video of the delivery person by your door. They really got into this market because a lot of people were ringing doorbells and they check to see if anyone's home. If no one answers the door, they're going to figure out how to go in the back door and break in. So this guy founded this out of his basement. So anyways, he goes on Shark Tank several years ago, is trying to market his product, and no one gives him an offer, although Kevin O'Leary, who is known for this, Mr. Wonderful, gives him a terrible offer, something he couldn't even refuse. So he says, no, I can't do it. it. So anyway, he goes off of there. The next month, his sales increased by $1 million. Now, this guy, successful guy, he's started other businesses in the past, but he was really on a shoestring budget here. In fact, he spent his last $10,000 or $12,000 to actually build a set to get onto Shark Tank and to actually present. He had volunteers helping him and all that. So his business right now is for sale on Amazon for $1.1 billion. He's a guy that turned it around. He figured out how to attract investors. In fact, he actually had a celebrity guy that came to help him pitch the ring concept. It was actually Shaquille O'Neal, who actually has a pretty big stake in the company now. Yeah. And interestingly enough, Richard Branson from Virgin Airlines, he actually got involved because he had someone come to his place. A delivery man rung the doorbell there, and they were able to converse back and forth. And he was like, this is pretty cool. I like the fact that I don't have to go out of my house and talk to the guy. It can just be taken care of from here. I can tell him where to leave it. I think that is one of the greatest things about being in the country that we're in. If you work hard and you are innovative, you put a lot of sweat equity into things can happen for you.
Thanks for joining us for this Cliff Notes edition of Money on Tap, with great tips from the pros in three-dimensional investing, utilizing insurance, brokerage, and fee-based planning. Now here's more Money on Tap with Seth, Ben, and John.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap, your personal finance headquarters, where we bring out the professionals' experience and some fun in what we call three-dimensional investing. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. Today, we are talking about the market. Is it out of control? Are you? 10 tips in this market. Hopefully for you to maintain sanity or maintain some of that control. But that's what we're going to be bringing to the table today, you guys. But before we do that, John has something special he would like to share with you.
Yes, we have a special recitation.
Like we haven't had a little special John today already.
This is a special recitation by me. And I'm actually going to bring myself back to sixth grade, where in front of a whole auditorium of parents, I recited a poem.
I wish you all could see the twinkle in John's eye right now.
Yes, this was a wonderful memory back in sixth grade, where I recited a poem to the large, cavernous auditorium there, full of parents.
Cut this.
And this is a poem by Rudyard Kipling. Now, let me tell you why I'm going to read this poem. You might say, well, why are you doing that? Are you just getting in touch with your feminine side or something like that? No, why I am reading this today is because I think it really carries a great message, and it really is very much in tune with our show. So the poem, and I'm going to skip a couple stanzas for you because I know maybe this much poetry on a financial radio show is maybe too much, but I'm going to go with it anyway. And I think this is a good lesson for my co-hosts to listen to. I think a good lesson for life in general. I will stop lecturing and I will start reciting. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. Now, I'm going to skip two stanzas, and I'm going to go to the last stanza. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and, which is more, you'll be a man, my son. Now, those words from Rudyard Kipling were penned many, many years ago, but I really think they have some value in today's world. In fact, even as we think about today's market, we think about the crazy yo-yo, up and down roller coaster market that we have, and there's so many people out there, when things go poorly, all of a sudden they pick up the phone, or they're angry, or this or that, they don't know what to do, they overreact, and all I like is that first couple lines. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming on you. There's some wisdom there in that poem from Rudyard Kipling. But today what we want to do is we want to talk about some ways that you can kind of keep yourself sane in this crazy market, because we are in a crazy market. There's no doubt about that. And we're going to talk about 10 different tips.
I use all these tips when working with John.
Yes, he needs all these tips. In fact, there's probably more that he doesn't even share that he uses. But we're going to go through those right now.
Number 1, have a plan and remember it. I think this is the core stone. This is where we talk about this all the time, having a foundation, having an expectation, an intentional motion to what you're going to do, and remember it. Don't lose sight of it inside the craziness of the stock market.
And we bring it down to this. Hey, like you're talking about a foundation. Hey, if you're going out to build a house, the first thing you do, you're not going out and shopping for materials, are you? What are you doing? You're talking to an architect.
Right.
You're using a blueprint. It's the exact same thing. When it comes to your investments, it's no different. You're not just going to run out and buy a bunch of different investments. Well, I'll buy an annuity over here. I'll buy a life insurance policy over here. I'll buy a mutual fund, stock, whatever it may be. No, figure out a game plan first.
I was talking to somebody the other day, and sorry, Seth, I didn't realize I just cut you off. I was just you the other day when we were talking with somebody, I just said to them, people come into our office and they're frantic sometimes. Like they're frantic. They've been referred to us. We've never done business with them. They come in. They're like, oh, we don't know what to do. Retirement's right around the corner. It's kind of this urgency. And we spent a couple meetings with them. We've never done an investment yet for them, but we walk away agreeing that this is the plan of attack that we're going to take. And there's this peace. There's this resolve. There's this kind of like, yeah, that makes sense. Let's do it. And yet we've never done anything other than put a plan together. And the fear is kind of subsided. The anxiety, and I think when you can kind of bring yourself back to that plan, that's where you find a little control.
Yeah, planning really depends a lot on being strategic, intentional, averages. We have to rely on averages of returns and different formulas and formats that we can create the plan around. But the whole point of that is to really know that there's going to be ups and downs and be able to predict that throughout, through different periods and windows that you're going to be able to accomplish your goals. So if you've done that, well, the other way to the other experience that we have with regularity is, that we talk about this a lot, the person that shows up with a shopping bag full of statements or different products and different placements. And it's like, well, at the moment I bought it because it made sense, but I don't know what it really is doing for me now, or how to fit this into what we're trying to accomplish, and that's really not a plan. I don't know. What do you call that?
Sometimes what I find is that there may be an attachment to a plan and relevance to to an investment. Like we have people come in our office and we say, yeah, we can work with this, we can work with that, we can't work with this, or we can't work with that. But sometimes people lose sight of why they purchase something. Right. That seems to be a commonplace I see. Right.
Yeah. No, at the moment, of course, it made sense. And it was like, well, we want to do more. We want to save. It's part of that program, which, can be very loose throughout different periods of time. But, kind of pulling it together, getting it to work together is part of a plan. And if you have something like that, you know what? You're probably not going to be looking at the market today and saying, oh, my gosh, what are we going to do next? Because you've already thought about that and planned through that. So point number 2. I think it's kind of coincides is know what you own and why you own it. And we're just kind of talking about the grocery bag that you pull in and have all these different products and statements. It doesn't necessarily serve the same purpose that it may have 10, 20 years ago when you purchased those things. And you may not have totally forgotten, and I wouldn't blame you for forgetting why you originally purchased or started to deploy some of these products in your planning.
Seth, you were talking about people, or was it Ben? You're talking about bringing shopping bags in, people bringing shopping bags in. That happens certainly all the time. But one of the things that we've seen recently, and I'm thinking of a client of yours that you were working just not too long ago with, Ben. And this is a client who brought in a bunch of different statements and all that. And we found out that the couple had a lot of savings bonds that had matured. And so these savings bonds really were not making any interest at all. And was there a purpose for them when they bought them? Absolutely. But right now, all that was an idle asset they had that wasn't working for them at all. And sometimes it's good just to go through and just to check out what you have and have a true understanding of why do I actually own what I own. Yes, there was a logical reason probably for me owning this when I first bought it, but maybe now things have changed a bit and maybe this investment has already come due and I'm not making anything more like the case with this woman. Or maybe there are different options out there, maybe a different mousetrap that would be a better fit for you.
Yeah, no, it's funny you mentioned that client. I've actually had that happen a couple of times. At least two. I'm thinking there was a third too, but it's not come.
With the bonds?
Yeah, that
sure.
were completely not making money, where we've had to break them out over time. And it's amazing that, I mean, that was kind of a way of life, was to buy those bonds,
Sure.
30 years
Many
ago,
people do
40
it through
years
their
ago.
companies too, right? Yeah.
And people forget they own them, or they forget how much they have of them, because they would just go in every month and buy a certain amount of bonds. And over time, they just accumulated a lot. But I mean, I've had people with, over $100,000 in bonds, fully matured, not making any interest.
Hey, now that's funny that you mentioned that, Ben, because now that I think about it, I might have a couple $100,000 of bonds out there.
Let's talk.
Thank you for the reminder. That's a great reminder.
I got a guy.
But that's the thing is that I actually ask that question now because people have forgotten.
Yeah.
Like, do you have any bonds? Do you have an old paper bond sitting in a safety deposit box? Oh yeah, because they teach themselves to forget about them.
You know what generation to ask that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's interesting. Number 3.
The market goes up and down all the time. Well, okay, so it does not take a rocket scientist to tell our dear listeners that, yes, indeed, the market does go up and down, and it goes up and down on a very regular basis. And if we could, but if we knew exactly when the market was going down, or if we knew exactly when the market was going up, we could sure do a good job of timing the market, couldn't we? But that's the whole thing out there. We may know some general trends. We may know going into a day, or maybe into a week, or maybe even to a period of time that we expect to see the markets going up in value. But do we actually really know what's going to happen with that market from day to day? Well, I think especially these days, we don't. And we'd love to be able to have the answers to all of that. But the fact is, we don't. And so having a diverse portfolio is extremely important. If you have all of your money in one type of equity stock, let's say that you like energy stocks. Well, that's great while energy is doing well. But if you have 100% of your money in an energy stocks, and all of a sudden the energy market takes a big hit, well, guess what's taking a big hit too? Your portfolio.
Well, I think diversification is everyone has a definition of diversification, or what they believe that to be. And we've said this before. I think Seth on one show actually got into this, and I thought it was strong how he shared it. But the idea that it's not just about owning stocks, or just owning bonds, or a mixture of that, or mutual funds, or whatever. Sometimes the diversification is in all sorts of types of holdings. And depending on your age bracket, that's going to always vary. And how there's kind of that fade, as you're kind of going through your investment experience, as you're maturing as an investor. You start off, simplified because you don't have the ability to be diversified. But as you accumulate assets, not only diversifying in the types of investments, but you might even diversify into the level of risk that certain types of investment have. Like, you could be, as a basic side, you might be a young man or woman just entering the workforce, starting with a 401k with an aggressive portfolio of mutual funds or whatever in there. But as you get older, you're going to fade a little bit into probably some CDs and some savings accounts that you wouldn't even care about, to the point where you get older. And we have clients who, in their 80s are like, hey, this investment came due and it's all going to cash, and what do you want? What do you want to do with it? And I'm like, well, just leave it in cash. I don't need it. Do you want to invest it? Nah, not interested. Who cares? I'm going to die long before I ever even need those funds. There's a lack of interest in some of that stuff. So there is that fading, as you move up and down that time scale in someone's age, of diversification that will include all sorts of pieces. Like, Seth's wife works in real estate. That could be a diversification piece for somebody buying an investment piece of real estate. So,
I was also going to just say that in regards to the diversification and what used to be available for people that were trying to get involved in the market, it was very limited. When you think of, basically going back, you were either buying stocks or bonds. That was pretty much it, or CDs. Those are kind of the market vehicles that were available. And so now there's been a massive transition in the industry to have different vehicles that allow for diversification, regardless of, getting involved at $1,000, $2,000. But starting out, you can have diversification where, the market volatility can maybe not affect you as much as it might have initially. So, yeah.
So the market goes up, the market goes down. That's point number 3. Number 4, and I think this is a really good point. In fact, Ben just brought this up the other day. Ben, I'm going to give you credit on this. I don't always like to do that, but I'm going to give you credit on this one. Number 4 is...
Thank you, John.
Yes.
Thank you, John.
The trends that we're seeing right now, they're not necessarily U.S. specific. They're happening globally. So when we see the Dow Jones Industrials getting a beating, or we see the S&P 500 getting a beating, or we see the corporate bond index doing well or doing poorly, you know what? It's not just what's happening here. It's happening all over the world.
I think that's, and the thing is that even the people all over the world who are investing in U.S. markets are getting affected, just like your article today with Russia, losing $16 billion, the wealthy people. Our markets globally direct a lot of the foreign markets. And, there's been some talk about Europe and how it's not performing to the level that people thought it was going to, and all the different pieces there. So there's a lot of ups and downs. And I think, when we talk about the, 0.3, the market goes up and down, and then we tie in that, trends are global here, and they're not specific to us in the U.S. We have to realize that, we're doing everything as best we can inside a marketplace like this. I think if you're singled out in a market space, you can feel that because you hear other people are doing better. There's other people out there. The average investor is doing well. I chose too much in energy, so therefore my portfolio is not performing now because energy just went down, if that's a hypothetical.
Or pharmaceuticals, or whatever it may be.
Yeah, whatever it is. Then you start realizing, hey, maybe I don't have the diversification I have. But when you start seeing the whole market as a whole starting to sink a little bit or pull back, we can talk about fundamentals, and that I think is going to be part of our conversation moving forward. But in this case, this is a global event. You're not being singled out here.
Number 5, be willing to learn from your mistakes. And I love this one really because I think we grew up with this idea of education not being, like a mistake being bad, and it's like your mark was bad. It wasn't an opportunity to.
You get an F.
Yeah, it wasn't an opportunity.
Remember that big red F on your paper, Seth? You remember that, don't you? I remember a couple on mine.
Well, the failure just being an opportunity, basically being a failure, and that's it. We just would chalk it up as guilt or shame in some compartment like that, not necessarily an opportunity to grow and to learn from our mistakes. And so I love the model that it seems to be changing more, which is, taking a look at what have we done and how do we learn, how do we grow through that? Because anyone can look good during our bull markets, and Ben was talking about that in the beginning of the show. It's like everybody just had this investor confidence that they were like, "Look at me, I did, 20% last year.
I don't need help. I can do this on my own."
Well, guys, we've talked about this before, but back in the 90s, from around 93 up till around 2000, actually in March of 2000, we saw a significant bull market. And one of the things that we saw, and Ben, I'm sure you remember this, 97, 98, 99, we saw a lot of these mutual fund companies getting involved in these high-flying internet stocks. And the internet stocks, there were some crazy returns with these internet stocks, with these mutual funds. And one of the things that happened was the fact that a lot of these mutual fund companies started cloning, and they would take one fund and take the top 5 holdings, and that would be the same top holdings in another fund, and then in another fund, and another fund. So you would look at one of these mutual fund families, and they would have a bunch of high flyers, but many of them built off of the same basic chassis that the other fund was built on. And so I think what a lot of mistakes that happened back in the day was the fact that a lot of people invested in this fund. Well, I have this fund, I have this fund, I have this fund, and I'm well diversified, not really taking a look at the fact that they really weren't that well diversified. And when the markets crashed, crashed hard. People that were making huge returns all of a sudden lost a lot of money.
Yeah, that overlapping is a real problem. And if one of the problems that people have now in 401ks is the overlapping that they could potentially have from, mutual fund company to mutual fund company. I mean, you could actually have, American funds, Oppenheimer, Goldman, I don't know, Lord Abbott, whoever you might be investing with. But some mutual funds inside your 401k might have multiple offerings. And those multiple offerings could have overlapping in the underlying holdings. And so that is a concern that you need to be aware of and that you need to kind of test yourself, because they're just providing 40 or 140 or 240 different investment options. They don't know what you're picking and choosing.
Sure.
And that's a problem you can, accidentally find yourself in and not realize. So
Yeah, I was going to actually just reference somebody that I consider a mentor to me.
Thanks, Seth.
His name is Jerry. But he's predominantly been invested in real estate. And one of the things I remember very well that he shared with me was, really pulling through some of those market cycles and some of the down markets and being involved at a level that most people are not willing to participate at. And that's basically the long term, and seeing this as a long-term hold and strategy, and really knuckling down when, things got tough and riding it out. And it's, there's cutting your losses, but there's also, I'm scared to death of what's going on around me, and I'm having an irrational reaction to markets or trends or some of those things, and just cutting out and not sticking with that plan. I think that goes back to, what's your plan? Why do you own what you own? Are you willing to make it through, a market cycle or a tough period and ride it out?
And do you have a plan? I mean, if you're listening here today and you're freaking out about something and you don't have a plan, then there's good reason why you are. I mean, that's something you need to kind
surprise,
of, you should be expecting that. Or
here's the other side of that. Everybody has a plan, and your plan might be, I don't have a plan. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com.
On today's Cliff Notes edition of Money on Tap, John Ryder explains the tax advantages of the Roth IRA.
A Roth IRA is really a special retirement account that you can fund with post-tax income, so you can't deduct those contributions that you make into it. But once you have done this, all future withdrawals that you take from that Roth IRA are tax-free. That's a big point, because if you think about it, there are regular IRAs you can participate in. We call them traditional IRAs, and you're able to put so much money into those every year, but you get a tax break for doing that. So that sounds really good, and you might say, well, why would you ever recommend a Roth IRA when I can actually get a tax break for putting the money in now? Well, if you want a tax break later on, and that's what we're talking about here, a Roth IRA can be a very valuable tool for you to have. So understand, no upfront tax deduction for Roth IRA contributions, as there is with a traditional. But on the other hand, Roth distributions are tax-free when you follow the rules. And because every penny that you stash into a Roth IRA is your money, it's not a tax-subsidized gift from Uncle Sam, you can tap your contributions anytime, tax-free and penalty-free.
Thanks for joining us for this Cliff Notes edition of Money on Tap, with great tips from the pros in three-dimensional investing, utilizing insurance, brokerage, and fee-based planning. More Money on Tap in just a moment.
Hi, my name is Seth Krussman, partner with Brayshaw Financial Group and one of the co-hosts of Money on Tap. One of the biggest concerns and largest expenses people face today is taxes. Without thoughtful planning, taxes can destroy future retirement dollars, eliminating the possibility of a timely retirement or dreams of what you want retirement to look like. If you're like most people, you're getting closer and closer to retirement, and you may be wondering if you're taking the right steps. Will my income be enough? Will rising taxes force me to give up my dreams? How does inflation factor into all of this? These are real concerns, and you're not alone. Putting a plan around your financial future is what we do. If you have questions when it comes to your financial security, and if you're looking for a personalized solution, contact us at Brayshaw Financial Group, 855-226-8551. It's time for you to start getting answers to your questions. Headquartered in Bedford, New Hampshire, Brayshaw Financial has offices across the country. We'd love the opportunity to show you how we can help. There's absolutely no cost or obligation to meet with us. Call us at 855-226-8551. 855-226-8551.
Now back to Money on Tap with Ben Brayshaw, John Ryder, and Seth Krussman.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap, your personal finance headquarters, where we bring out the professionals' experience and some fun in what we call three-dimensional investing. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com.
Number 6 here, folks. I think as we talk about the markets out of control, are you, the 10 tips in this market. Number 6 is the economy is probably fine.
But it doesn't feel that way, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we talk about this stuff all the time. I mean, the fundamentals are here. I mean, they're staring us right in the face. We got a lot of money coming into the United States right now with the repatriation. If you've listened to our other shows, you've heard us talk about the money that corporations are bringing back into the United States, which is about $1 trillion, which is an enormous amount of funds.
Yeah, they were scared to bring that money back before because the tax rate for them to bring that money back was what, 21%?
It was 35%.
35%.
Yeah.
And then it dropped down to
21.
Yeah.
But they gave that one-time 8% repatriation, which allows the companies like Apple to bring back $250 billion and so forth, and they paid their $36 billion in state, federal, and local taxes, and now that money's sitting in their account here in the United States. What they do with that, it remains to be seen, but there's $1 trillion out there that's happened with, and probably more to come as companies kind of evaluate what they want to do. I'm sure there's still companies sitting on the sideline figuring, hey, we still got some time to figure this out, so let's itemize each dollar on that. But the economy's probably fine. I mean, ultimately, it's all about money flow, and how much, that GDP, that expense that we're going to spend money on, where are we going to go and what are we going to do? Are we going to travel, pay off debt? Are we going to go out to the movies and dinner? And just the economy in itself, are the fundamentals strong? Now, when we think about that, there's a lot of different things we've talked about. I mean, the repatriation is a big start. There's also the concept of, the dependent care credit, with the children getting to write off your kids at a phase out limit of $443,000. Yeah, no, yeah, more than one way, in more than one way, folks. And just the general tax cuts we've seen. Everyone here has seen a little bit of an increase in their paycheck. And just with the tax cuts, that stuff's that stuff is brewing under our economy. It's fermenting. We're not experiencing that, but what we are really seeing is the fact that the Fed is saying we can raise rates because we know the economy can withstand it. We know that's what they're telling us. We know there's enough money going to flow that we can do this now, and this is good for our economy to raise these rates. This will give us stronger ability to control inflation. And then you start looking at it, you start saying Trump's now talking about tariffs. You can't have a tariff discussion in an unfair scenario if you don't have the ability to have a strong economy to have that hard conversation, no matter which side of the roll you're on. So, number 6, the economy's probably fine.
Yeah, so don't freak out. The economy's probably fine, even though you see a lot of volatility. We're going to be okay.
And honestly, if we reached out to a number of our clients and just come, hey, listen, just want to let you know, and they're like, hey, I'm fine, I'm good. I said, yeah, I know, but some people we know, we want to kind of make sure you understand that the fundamentals are there. If the fundamentals weren't, we would be taking a lot different action, and so would the Fed, and so would Trump, or so would the administration.
Number 7, stay the course by continuing to save. And actually, this is one of my favorite parts of this whole program here, is because the savings program that you have, or if you don't, if you can get one, that is going to affect the rest of what you're trying to accomplish. You have to be able, or have to be saving in order for the rest of a plan to work out, really. Unless there's unless it's like the windfall cash scenario that happens, and that's the plan that that you're banking on, you got to be able to save. And one of the things I love about a market that actually has some volatility, if you are saving, is you get an opportunity to buy some things on sale.
That's right. Sometimes stuff for really cheap, right?
Isn't it amazing how many times you explain that to people and they're like, yeah, if the market drops, we'll buy more. But then market drops, like, should I put the money in?
Seth, I always compare it to if there's let's say you're usually paying a $1 for a Coca-Cola that you're buying at the store. If there's a sale at Costco where they're selling them for 10 cents each, guess what? Costco is going to be out of them because people are going to be buying it up like crazy. Well, why? Because the price dropped. It seems like a different story sometimes when it comes to our investments. People see the stock market drop like crazy and like, I don't want to put any more money in there.
Yeah, no, I was listening to one guy on CNBC who was talking about Google stock, and he's like, yeah, if it drops to 800, I'm buying more. I'm in whatever, and he was way below that. And they're like, well, why wouldn't you just short it if you think it's going to go to 800? He goes, I don't know if it's going to go to 800. I'm just long Google. And I was like, oh, well, so there's not, you listen to the news shows and you hear people talking, and all these crazy mechanisms. Oh, I'm buying options on this and I'm doing that. And honestly, that's not for everybody, right? I mean, that's not what the average Joe should be doing. But I like that kind of thinking of just saying, hey, if it's on sale, I'm going to buy more because I believe in the long-term story. That's planned investing right there. And if it doesn't, he's like, I'm just going to make money on what I do own. I think that's good.
Number 8, use cash to help manage your mindset. You know what? Cash can be a very good thing to have. Just the other day, Ben and I were chatting with a client out in California, and this guy has a significant amount of holdings with us. But we reminded him, you know what? There's a reason why you have a lot of cash sitting in your account over there. There's a big reason for that. And one of the reasons for that is the fact that when the markets are going down, having a large cash buffer can make it not so bad.
Well, he actually kind of finds it funny that he's always trying to tell us to invest more, and we're like, hey, based on how you move money around, you probably should have more cash. Yeah, and he's like, this conversation is supposed to be the opposite direction, Ben. I was like, so that was kind of funny. Number 9. Okay, so this goes a little bit into that. Look in your rearview mirror.
I'm telling my daughter this all the time when she's driving. New driver out there, and you're probably doing the same thing, Ben, or you tell her to look in the side mirror or whatever. But
I'm just telling her to watch out for you.
Watch out for me. That's true. That's true. But that rearview mirror, why is that important, guys?
I think people forget their perspective on time horizon is just it's in the moment. It's at that instantaneous second. Oh, the market's going down. Have I been doing everything correctly? Do I own the right stuff? And it's like, I mean, that's general, okay thinking. But the reality is you should be prepared for that thinking before it happens. And when we talk to people and the market's on the rise and the S&P's skyrocketing and everyone's 401ks are doing wonderful, they're like, oh, yeah, I don't need to do anything. Be like, listen, we need to talk about kind of, downside protection. We should talk about, what your long-term strategy is. Oh, no, I'm good. I literally, in the last month, we haven't gotten a lot of calls about the accounts we manage, but I would say we get a lot of calls from clients who ask us about their 401k that they, don't need help with just yet. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think looking in the rearview mirror makes a lot of sense. Guys, I'm going to ask you for a show of hands on this, so that the audience doesn't have to know. But for a show of hands, have you guys ever been, like, you went on a tropical vacation years ago. You went to this tropical place, and you went out there, and you forgot that the sun is not like it is out in Oregon. It's not like it is in New Hampshire. And you go out there, and you got burned really, really badly the first day. Anyone ever have that happen, or is that just me? Just me? Okay. So if it's just me, I remember a day like that, and I remember thinking, I am never going to do this again. However, I think several years later, maybe going back out again, all of a sudden realizing, wow, I did it again. But I can tell you, I didn't do it again because that wrecked my vacation. And I think sometimes when you look back on things and you can look at maybe some lessons learned, it's very, very important not to get wrapped up all up in the current, what's going on right now, but realize, what? Sometimes the steps that I take in the past, for instance, maybe pulling out of an investment when I should have, maybe not diversifying well, taking a look at, again, those mistakes that we made in the past, look in that rearview mirror, look at those things that you could have done better and decide that you're going to do better.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, I would say that that also kind of applies to the mindset that when things get choppy, it starts to look like maybe there's a cliff. Like the only thing in the future is going to be a 100% total failure of the markets, right? Then that's all that's in the future. That's all people can see is everything disappearing and evaporating into nothing. And if you turn around and look at the history, there's been a lot of volatility. There's been, pullbacks and, being prepared for those things. But overall, in the history of our markets, it has pulled out of, these places that have been challenges. It has, continued to, move forward. So that might give you some insight that, maybe today isn't the time that the market is just going to totally fall off a cliff and we all need to just, buy a commodity to shore ourselves up or something.
Well, I mean, that brings us to number 10, right? I mean,
are we there already?
Number 10.
Where did the time go?
Relax. I love our number 10. The conversation of just relax.
A good transition. Be talking about tropical vacations. Hey, you know why we're talking about tropical
But that's
vacations?
hard to
Let me tell
relax
you why we're
once you've
talking about
gotten that
tropical
special
vacations.
sunshine on your fairness.
I woke up yesterday. It was 17 degrees out here in New Hampshire on April whatever. That's why I'm talking about tropical vacations. I'm sorry. All right.
No, for us
But
up in the
relax.
north, it's when we get into that tropical sun, it is a special kind of sunshine. I think I spent like an hour on the beach and came back I was done. It was like 4 days of trying to recover from that. So you were speaking to me, weren't you, John?
You did have your hand raised. I'm glad that you're
I did.
actually admitting it now.
I participated.
Ben's never gotten burned ever. Never, ever.
I get
never,
sunburned
never.
all the time. I can't stand it. It's miserable. But I like, with relax. If you've really taken earnest and you really you believe in what you're doing, you believe in the fundamentals, you understand what you're invested in, and all those pieces are together, relax. If you're still unsure and you can't relax, well, give us a call. Give somebody a call. Let's figure out how to get that ability to understand how your portfolio will perform.
Yeah, we'd love nothing more than to walk you through steps that will help you feel better about the market environment that we're in. And we'd love to have the opportunity to talk with you about your different investments and to share with you how we can help you going forward. We'd love that opportunity.
Yeah, I was going to tag that as well, that, making decisions when you're under duress or you're in fear, it's a hard thing not to do, but to try to stay out of making a decision right this minute because of whatever that fear might be, really could wind up saving you quite a bit. On the other side of that as well, this needs that fear or that anxiety can bring to the table some discussions that need to happen that maybe haven't happened yet. And that's really what we're here to do, is to try to provide a place for you to, get the conversations out there. Find out, what is your makeup, what's your portfolio, what's your plan, and how are you going to go ahead and move through these challenging periods and have confidence and peace, hopefully around what it is that you're doing today. So grateful for you listening today. You've been listening to Money on Tap. And we welcome the opportunity to sit down with you and to help you in this journey. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com.
Hello, my name is John Ryder, a partner with Brayshaw Financial Group and one of the co-hosts of Money on Tap. 10,000 Americans are turning 65 every day, and planning a successful retirement today is more challenging than ever, with a roller coaster stock market, political and economic uncertainty, and so many unknowns when it comes to the escalating costs of healthcare. Let us show you how we utilize the 3D method of investing, utilizing insurance, brokerage, and fee-based planning. Using our experience, let us help you plan for a successful retirement. Now is the right time to start getting help. Give us a call at Brayshaw Financial Group at 855-226-8551. Headquartered in Bedford, New Hampshire, we have offices across the country. We would love the opportunity to meet with you. There's absolutely no cost or obligation to meet with us, and we welcome you to our offices. Call 855-226-8551 today.
The views expressed are not necessarily the opinion of this radio station and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risks, including loss of principal invested. No strategy, product, material, or tool mentioned can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information, products, materials, or tools mentioned should be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. This show may be subsidized in whole or in part by a product sponsor or issuer. Securities and advisory services offered through SagePoint Financial Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC, and a registered investment advisor. All other services offered through Brayshaw Financial Group LLC are independent of SagePoint Financial. SagePoint Financial and Brayshaw Financial Group do not provide tax or legal advice. Main office is located at 116 South River Road, Bedford, New Hampshire, 03110, and can be reached at toll-free 855-226-8551.